Welcome to the 21 Convention, Tampa, Florida. Man, this is actually an honor to introduce this next speaker. And the reason why is I have heard about him for almost a decade. And I've heard about him through a very close friend of mine. I didn't make the connection until just now. He is somebody who has taught more in-field than anybody, and maybe multiple people combined since, was it 2007? Every weekend, 47 weekends a year, 3 days a week. Man, that's some insane skills. This is Alex. Man, take it away. Cool. Great to meet you, man.
Thank you. Cheers, mate. All right. Hello, everybody. My first time here. My name's Alex. I'm from Brisbane, Australia. Just arrived about 5 minutes ago from Miami, where I taught a boot camp and a hot seat, which is my job, my occupation in life. Boot camp is where I take guys in field and teach them pick up in day game, night game, bars, clubs, all that kind of stuff. And the hot seat is the program where I show videos of me picking up girls, breaking it down, answering questions, stuff like that. However, didn't always used to do this job. I aspired to be a psychologist, where I studied psychology at the University of Queensland in Brisbane, Australia, when I wasn't doing so well in my social life. And I invited 300 people to my 21st birthday, and not a lot of people came. And then I thought I was a loser, so I had to get into self-help. Before that, a couple of months before that, I had a kind of a heartbreaking situation, which was my own fault. I broke up with a girl who I was dating for like 6 months because her parents wouldn't let her stay over at my house. And I made the resolution that I was going to work for 18 months to get the deposit for a home loan to buy her a house so she could stay at my own home. Okay, so I did that like an idiot, and for 18 months I worked at a box factory, actually a distribution centre in Brisbane, Australia, and every day I thought about the girl, thought about my future, and I achieved this. I got a loan approved from a bank in Australia, and then when I sent the letter to her to come and live with me, to live in my house, I bought her a Tiffany's bracelet. She sent it back via her friend saying no thank you and don't ever talk to me again. So I was all heartbroken. I tried to be a player. Nobody came to my 21st birthday. And then I got into pickup, and it was pretty cool. And since February 2007, all that I've done is kind of psychology, going in clubs, approaching girls, helping people meet the women they want in their life, helping people to face their own fears, grow emotionally, internally. Today, with just an hour to talk, and me at the end of my exhaustion tether after 4 long days and a long drive up here, I want to kind of touch on a whole combination of ideas that I know in a unique way that the average person might not, that what we call the pedestrians and the civilians of the world, all of which probably want to meet more girls, have more abundance, get better quality of chicks, have even better relationships. I want to talk about some of the things that a guy in my position who spends literally, what is that? About 150 days of my year, 4 to 5 hours in field, going out and meeting chicks. So I've got a really unique perspective. And it's far removed from university, which I literally failed out of because I took that trip. So, what do I know that I can share with the world that most of the world doesn't know about? Start with the inner game stuff. We'll do a bit of inner game, bit of stories, bit of practical things that you can implement, and hopefully you can take a lot out of it. So, number one, inner game and limiting beliefs. Things like confidence, and an ability to walk up to any girl feeling, as you guys say, confident. We don't actually use the word confident because by layman's terms and books and magazines and radio and shit like that, it's too hard to understand and grasp, to be confident. And it actually implies an intensity and an aggression and a kind of a macho-ness and those kinds of things, which actually are they kind of make a girl feel like under duress when you act overly confident. Okay, what's better is being smooth. So the word that we use for confidence is actually unapologetic, or a concept called relaxed arousal. But what that means, confidence actually comes when you perceive that nothing holds you back, a freedom from outcome. And the way that we kind of practically implement that in a bar, we use this concept called the front door rule, where we're not too worried about the outcome of the first 30 seconds or 5 minutes of the interaction. We're more worried about who we're going to walk out with at the end of the night. So what that means, how you practically implement that, is that you don't need to do some brilliant social skill or some amazing confident game in order to impress the chicks that you like. Although, hold on, let me just say, the niche that I'm talking about here is how to meet people through cold approach. Cold approach. You don't know them. You're approaching them for the first time. You want to meet a gorgeous girl in the bar. If you're already in a relationship, you want to know how to be able to go and meet anyone, anytime, any place, even if it's kind of a high status person who intimidates you, how to do that in a cool way. And if you're in a relationship, to not get kind of stuck in the relationship and feel trapped or feel like you're settling. But of course, if you're single and you want to make the most out of your life and eventually have that abundance to choose the girl that you want to marry and live with for the rest of your life, you want to have that selectivity. And the way you do that is having a great ability in a game, emotions, in order to cold approach anyone, anytime. So with confidence, with being unapologetic, when you approach somebody, it's actually quite non-eventful, okay, in the first 30 seconds or 5 minutes. I see the guys who read like men's magazines, GQ, FHM, stuff like that, they do try to be super confident, a little bit arrogant, and kind of show their value a little too much. But the thing is, a truly high value guy, a man of value, we use the terminology of value, not high value. A guy who's of value would never need to kind of shove it down somebody's throat, would never need to prove that they have value. Instead, it's just there. I'll demonstrate this in a second. So one of the big, awesome kind of tricks or things that you can implement is be the kind of guy who's willing to say to a girl, oh, go ahead, go dance. You want to go dance? Go for it. Don't let me stop you. That's the key word. If you can say, don't let me stop you, then the girl is not going to see you as a guy who's trying to pick her up, even though you may be, even though that's your intention, to leave with her at the end of the night. So by saying, don't let me stop you, she's going to go run away, dance, go to the bathroom, get a drink, do whatever she wants to do, which is fine, and you can always reapproach. I don't know of you guys in the audience, how many of the students and how many of the staff, but who here, if you do an approach, and you get some kind of like unfavorable response, the girl walks away, gives you a bad look, you kind of feel like the interaction is over for good. Show of hands. You feel like it's over for good. It's like, oh, the bad look, it's gone. And you let it go, and you kind of get into a bad state. You feel almost like a loser, okay, like a bad feeling, which fucking sucks. But that's actually what it's going to look like. You let the girl go, and you can always reapproach again a little bit later. And if you're the kind of guy straight away who can say, don't let me stop you, go and dance, knowing that it's totally cool to reapproach again later, she sees you not as somebody who's trying to capture and hold and command her attention, but somebody who's willing to let her have fun with you, not under your control, which is actually kind of similar to slavery, you know, in the old days of Confederate America. So when you say to the chicks, go ahead, go dance, do whatever you want to do, and you reapproach, then they see you as someone who's not going to try to trap them. We also have this kind of concept. I'm just going to go all over the place, a whole lot of different concepts that I'm going to share with you today. We have a concept called the Inception Dynamic. All right, this is kind of a weird one, kind of a deep one, but let's get into it. The Inception Dynamic, it all revolves around, if you're in a nightclub, in a social space, it's not about trying to get the girl to like you so much in the first 5 minutes that she's going to think, oh my God, this guy who I just met from cold approach, who I don't know, who has no known status to me, he's so fucking great, I want to take him upstairs and fuck him right now. That doesn't happen. That's not how girls work from cold approach. Instead, if you're a guy, I actually ask you to be less confident in the way that you understand it, and instead play that reapproaching game, but know how to not be in the friend zone. Know how to use physicality with the chicks, because physicality is basically chemistry in the way that FHM or movies talk about it. I've got chemistry with the girl. That's knowing how to touch the chick. Another massive general mistake that a lot of civilian fellows out there who don't do self-development type of seminars, they often put their hand on the lower back of the girl. And straight away, when you put your hand on the lower back of the girl or in that kind of area, it shows that you've got an intent or a kind of a pickup desire, which isn't a bad thing. But when the girl knows that you're there to pick her up, then she's going to think, well, okay, this is going to be a kind of a linear progression from start to finish. I know that this guy is sexually interested in me like every other guy. And because it's a linear progression, it's not unpredictable, it's boring, it's unarousing, and she's going to disengage. She's not going to be that excited. So one of the rules that we play by is called social physicality. So you only kind of touch the girl on the shoulder areas and have her touch you on the shoulder areas in the same kind of area where American football players wear their pads. So when setting up this thing called the Inception Dynamic, we're talking to the girl, thinking about how we're going to leave with her at the end of the night, not how we're going to attract her in the first couple of minutes, but we're going to be demonstrating to the girl that we're outgoing, we can be physical. Important to avoid the friend zone or Mr. Nice Guy is know how to use negative expressions to call the girl out, to challenge her, to say you're disappointing, you're crazy, what the fuck, to give her like disapproving looks in a fun way, or maybe sometimes you actually mean it as well, and have the physicality. So you put the girl in a position where she's experiencing you as a guy who's approached her who she doesn't know. You can be physical, you can express a range of emotions. We also use a lot of positivity. Talk about that one in a second. And as the night goes on, you're not showing a kind of a sexual intent, but you are making her more comfortable through familiarity, and she feels physically comfortable in your space, not defensive towards you. She kind of sees you as an ally, but defensive towards all the other guys. And as the night goes on, we want to try to set up a situation where she's going to ask the question in her own head, why doesn't this guy like me? Okay, he's confident, all the guys like me, he's making contact, he's calling me out, he's complimenting me, why isn't he trying harder? And the minute that you get that girl to form that question, does he even like me? What's going on here? She becomes extremely engaged and not defensive. You're not the kind of guy who's trying to pick her up in a traditional sense. And very, very importantly, she's cool to walk out of the bar with you at the end of the night. I see these problems with guys there's an international community of pickup type fellows and self-development who mistake their great work ethic, which applies to their finances, their friends, the gym, nutrition. They apply their work ethic to meeting women, and that try hard, that effort and that intent makes girls defensive. It's not a bad character trait, but you need to know how to hold it back. In a nightclub, who has more value, men or women? Going to speak to the wall? Wall! Who has more value, men or women in a nightclub? Obviously women, but the magical thing, and this is like, in all my years of experience, these are the most important things to us. The magical thing about a nightclub is the minute that you walk out of the front door, in the club, the girl is the queen, absolutely the queen. But when you walk out of the front door, she's no longer the queen. You're the boss, not in a belligerent, tyrannical way. You're the leader with a plan, going for food, after party, instant date. If you're the guy to walk that girl to the car or the taxi or whatever it's going to be, you actually not only make her feel comfortable, you have the physicality, and when a girl's comfortable, she can allow herself to feel attracted and excited. When a girl's under duress, or when she thinks you're trying to pick her up, she can't really allow herself to let loose and have fun. So when you're the guy who walks her out of the front door, okay, and I'm going to reconcile all these, I see the looks in the audience, they're like, isn't this low value shit? I'll get to that stuff in a second. When you walk the girl out of the front door, you're actually playing this other part of the game where you're qualifying her, where you're telling her that you choose her specifically for a very good reason, more so than any other girl in the bar. And when you do that, she feels chosen. She's not going to stay there, stand there saying, thank you for choosing me. Thank you for walking me home. She's definitely going to say things like, you don't have to walk me home. You don't have to walk me to my taxi stand. You don't have to walk me to my front door. But that's when you say, no, I want to. I'm winning here. This is fucking awesome. You're gorgeous. And you're a great change of pace from looking at my workmate's face for the last 5 days in the week. And so the girl's going to feel special. Okay, so you need to add that. I know that out there in the society, in regular society, and the self-help world, and the old pickup world, you have this terminology called high value, demonstrating high value and avoiding low value. Okay, you want to show the girl that you're high value, and you don't want to be a low value type of guy. Well, as I have a little drink, because my voice is fucking dying, it's not about high value or low value. It's that you're of value. Of value is the word. But the dynamic, the dimension and the dynamic that nobody takes into account is time. Women always say, and for the guys in the room who have wives and girlfriends or who have had great girlfriends, have your girlfriend said to you things like, I want to spend time together? Show of hands. It's not a very interactive audience, by the way. But they always say, I want to spend time together. And as guys, how seriously do we take that shit? Not very. It's like, oh, yeah, we're here. Well, of course we're here. We're spending time together. But girls, female psychology has a very distinct pattern. When a human being has an encounter with the unknown, when you're doing cold approach, you are the unknown. So when you when you do a cold approach and you present yourself as an unknown stimulus, human beings react one of two ways to the unknown. Does anybody know what it is? One of two ways to an unknown stimulus. Fight or flight. Exactly, fight or flight. And when a man approaches a girl in a bar and she has an unknown stimulus and she gets fight or flight, what's she going to do? Every time, flight, for the most part, unless she's very socially well-adjusted and feels very comfortable. So you're always going to get that fight or flight response from the girl. The flight response, an evasive response, and it looks like rejection, although it's pretty much just evasion under duress. For the most part, most guys are bigger and more masculine, and if you're approaching the girl, you tend to overcompensate your confidence and kind of, boom, like step up to kind of get in her face and make yourself known. But what's better is to kind of keep it chill, to not elicit that flight response, almost like boring, and allow yourself to be a calming influence, like approaching like a baby cow. I mean, horse, baby horse, like the foal or something. And after a couple of minutes, then she's like, okay, he's not an unfamiliar stimulus anymore. Then you can run kind of like confident game, confident approaching as you know, with more physicality, with more colorful expressions, negs, as you say, more affectionate things, qualifications, stuff like that. And then the girl is going to start to understand you. Being of value, being a man of value and being attractive or desirable to the girl is a function of time. So the longer that you're in the interaction with the chick, the more she realizes that you are of value. Of value. Not high value, not low value, but simply of value. Why? Because you're an individual man who can vote, who can communicate himself, who can even get into a social place like a bar. Whereas the other guys who are trying to demonstrate extra value, the girls feel like the guy's like overcompensating for something, and she gets kind of defensive. It's kind of predictable. A lot of guys walk around feeling low value because they don't have the cars, the money, the looks, the body, whatever it might be. But even if you're far from perfect in today's society, you're still of value, unless you basically shoot yourself in the foot. Is anyone here willing to do a demonstration on stage real quick? Is anyone here willing to go on camera? I don't know. Come on up, mate. Join in the fun. I like to normally do this with like a glass of red wine, okay? Do you have a phone?
I like to do a lot of things with a glass of red wine.
Yeah. Do you have a phone in your pocket?
Nope.
Do you have anything electronic?
Nope.
Okay, no worries. The way that I could best describe this to people about being of value, just by the way that you are, the girl's feeling that you have value just by you being there. And this is kind of hard for me to comprehend in the beginning, so I'm sure it is for all as well. When I don't want to spill a shitload of water here, organizers, I don't want to spill water, I'm going to try not to do that. But when you're kind of like making so much effort, all the water, like a full glass of water, your full energy and your focus and your value bleeds out or drips away. And so, like if I put this near you, you're not really worried. You don't flinch, do you? It's just like, glass of water, no big deal. Even if you're holding a laptop, which usually I would do if we could spin the camera around, it doesn't matter. However, and this stage is a bit rocky, so be careful. And we have a TV in the background as well. But don't worry, we have an iPhone on the table. If I bring this near you with the full value, your attentiveness, that duress, that sense of evasion, that fight or flight starts to trigger, okay? And it's not really a problem because it's just water, not red wine, not beer, or not even milk, which I've done this with before. And you're like, whoa. And so it has a presence, okay? Thank you very much, sir. Have a seat. That analogy, you just being you, being a guy, wrong lane, mate, has a presence, just as you are. And when our guys in our company, we started recording ourselves, we would see ourselves like so many guys out there in the world going up and being like, blah, 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 look at me, don't look away, I'm worried. Like avoiding, evasion, acting through scarcity, all that bad stuff. And I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? Why am I such a tryhard? Why am I overcompensating my confidence? I didn't know until I watched cold approaches, me approaching chicks and my students approaching chicks, that value would fulfill as a function of time, being of value, not being high value. Because trying to be high value is actually a compensation for feeling low value. So that feeling, just stepping up and kind of holding the frame and being of value, that is actually something that every guy who's well adjusted can go and do straight away and actually start to become attractive. Or more importantly, the word attraction, out there in the world, complete rubbish. It's not applicable to when you're going out and cold approaching women, because attraction actually implies be high value, demonstrate value, all that kind of confusing stuff, and it makes you overcompensate. The word that we functionally use is, can you arouse the girl? All right, so in a video here where we're talking about attracting chicks, and ideally, I guess what the goal is for most guys is to meet more chicks, get them to be into you so you can get them into a isolated space to have those fun, intimate times called sex. You want to be able to arouse the girl. So just by being a guy and approaching her, for the most part, that's going to arouse her, for the most part. Day game wise, if you go and approach a girl during the day and you're not completely crazy about it, like you're quite socially well adjusted, and you just say, excuse me, and you start the approach, that's arousal, and that's attraction beginning to happen as the mainstream knows it. Arousal, however, and attraction and engagement is when you have a continual contrast of emotions. If you all watched a movie that was like, as grown men, if you watch the movie Bambi, which I really haven't seen for like years and years, it's pretty much positive emotion after positive emotion, positive thing happening. The fucking deers are running around in the field with the butterflies and something else happens and it's all happy, yay. Luckily, the movie's not completely boring because there's a deer fatality or something. I forget the plot of Bambi. But when as a guy, you approach the girl and you're not just Mr. Nice Guy, can I buy you a drink? Look at my Porsche keychain. Look at my clothing. You're so nice. When you're not Mr. Nice Guy, as a lot of guys tend to be, overcompensating, trying to get the girl's attention. Or the pickup guy who becomes Mr. Neg Guy, who becomes super macho, super disapproving, super kind of like dour in your demeanor. That, again, is only one range of emotions. So it's not arousing because there's no contrast. And I, for one, I went through a stage where I would like neg, be super engaging to the girl for about 3 minutes, but after she realized that I was only doing the negative emotions, she was like, well, this is predictable, this is boring, this is going nowhere. And also it comes from a place of low value. Ideally, if you want to be engaging, if you want to start to conduct longer interactions from cold approach, and long interactions, as I said, build familiarity, and they allow you to walk the girl out of the front door at the end of the night where results happen, then actually being a kind of a Mr. Nice Guy is the best way to do it. The easiest to access, the easiest to implement if you're not that socially experienced, and the best way to get results. It's quite cool because when I say, everyone, and those on the camera, be Mr. Nice Guy, I actually see in the audience furrowed brows. And I see a couple people like, what? What the fuck? Well, one of the big problems that the average fellow has when he's approaching chicks is that he's non-arousing because he has nothing to say and no way to express himself. But what's actually super easy to do is go up and start with the lighthearted, positive, and appreciative comments. They're not a big deal. If you say to a girl, you're cute, you're nice, you're pretty, you're very well dressed this evening, you don't lose your value. Okay, if you're just like, oh, the big value here, and you say something nice, it's not like you're trying to be impressive, you're just being expressive. You're just allowing emotions to fly out of you that others can engage. And when you set a precedent of positivity, and you're nice to meet you, we're having a good time, what a great day. This is my game, basically. I go up, I'm like, hey, are you having a good day? I'm gonna get a drink because I like beer. Yeah, how's the weather? Like, so simple and actually kind of socially like disadvantaged. I'm like a socially disadvantaged person almost. And I'm like, you're so nice, you're so pretty, look at your hair. Setting a precedent of positivity. When you do that, when you set the precedent of positivity, no one can fault that. And it doesn't put a girl under duress. And it's easy for you to do if you want to go out there and meet more chicks. The girl will likely say, thank you, cool, not a big deal. That's the equivalent of you saying to your friend, oh mate, looking good, fucking, you're getting bigger in the arms. What are you bench pressing these days? Your mate's going to be like, oh yeah, a little bit more. But you're not going to sit around thinking about it all day, and you're not going to discredit your mate for him saying that you're stronger than him. It's not a big deal. So to a girl, when you start with the lighthearted, positive expressions, she's going to be like, oh, cool, no big deal. At least this guy knows how to express himself. The good thing is then, when the girl can't fault you for being easygoing and approachable, easygoing and not freaking her out, when you do it that way and you do drop a neg, for example, a negative expression, then it's going to be extremely engaging, okay? If you can do both positive expressions and negative expressions relatively early on, then the girl has anticipation for the entire rest of the interaction, that night, on dates, in a relationship or whatever. So I'll go up to a girl and I'll be like, hey, what's going on? I usually, what I like to do, it's kind of a trick, I'll wait till the girls are lining up at the bar and I'll line up next to them. So I've got that 5 minutes where we can chit chat, get along, and it'll be kind of lighthearted, easygoing. And then sooner or later, they'll do something kind of immature or giggling. In fact, one of the ones that I like to call them out on is the seahorse. Do anyone know the seahorse call out? No. When girls laugh in a nightclub, in a social place with their high heels on and their nice dresses, when a girl laughs, it's kind of, I'm going to really embarrass myself here doing this. The girl's kind of like, and that's the seahorse. So she starts doing the fucking seahorse. She's like, and laughing like a fool. Call her a seahorse. And she laughs even more. Her head's down here by your crotch. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So if you can throw out that negative expression, what the fuck is going on here? She knows that you're a type of guy who can express yourself really well. But think about it even more. A high-value guy. And let's refer to high-value guys in our society, American, European, UK, and Australian. Some great examples are Gordon Ramsay and Simon Cowell, and I can't really think of too many others that are really international, but those two are great. Gordon Ramsay, when he goes to these restaurants to berate the people who work there, he'll sit down at the table, and there'll be some like 18-year-old, 17-year-old waitress who'll come over, and he'll be the sweetest guy ever to the waitress. Thanks, sweetheart. Thanks, darling. Much appreciated. Great job. Well done. Very lighthearted, very charming. And it's a problem because the word charm and gentleman and dapper, it doesn't get thrown around that much more in the meeting girls industry, the self-development and meeting girls industry. It's got a little bit too aggressive for my liking. So Gordon Ramsay is actually super positive. Simon Cowell is actually, for the most part, very good at expressing what he likes. But these guys also are good at expressing what they don't like. Let me say again, Jeremy Clarkson, even though he's an old, wrinkly man with his, like, what is it called, like a gobble throat, like the turkey throat, he also is very good at the positive and the negative. And it's no surprise that these guys are extremely engaging entertainers. Whereas TV shows, it's all too positive or too nice, it's kind of boring. Hell boring. We don't even watch them. So, the pickup itself. I don't like the fact that when you're going out to learn game, learn how to meet more women in your life, that you need to become some kind of macho, angry guy, because you then make it harder for yourself, a lot harder for yourself. And when you make it harder for yourself, you tend to overcompensate and do more, which then makes it even harder for yourself, and it leads to being angry, to being out of state, and a true hatred of other people. When really, unfortunately, it's your fucking work ethic, your desire to put good work ethic into meeting other people that actually creates a problem for you, okay? I like to think of picking up chicks as yoga, okay? Anyone can do it, yoga. All of our bodies and our hormones are capable of empathizing with people, empathizing with women, appreciating them, enjoying them, expressing ourselves and feeling emotions. Yoga is about stretching out and gaining balance. It's about enabling you to do what you're capable of doing in your body. Everyone here is capable of expressing themselves. However, if you don't do yoga or even stretch at the gym, your body's going to become more and more seized up and crippled because you don't know how to use it. And that's the same with your social skills. If you're not going out a lot, if you spend too much time on the computer, if you're an introvert, because it's not your fault if you're introverted. That's called being naive. Nobody told you didn't have the right older brother, you didn't know about the 21 convention, you didn't know about YouTube channels. If nobody told you that you're allowed to stretch yourself and enable yourself with what you can do, then you're going to stay all kind of crippled up. And you actually have to go to the bar and start going out and meeting people in a kind of a emotionally crippled and decrepit state and start allowing to stretch and warm up before you're normal, what we call socially well-adjusted. And when you're socially well-adjusted, then you have the full command over how you move, how you want to express yourself, your balance, your versatility, your reactivity, your responsivity, and that is what translates in real life to being charming, elegant, witty, intuitive, appreciative, stuff like that. Another cool thing that I have kind of observed and discovered that I really enjoy is that girls feel most sexy not by you being kind of like sexually, verbally, I guess, aggressive or confrontational or something like that. Girls actually feel most sexy when they're most relaxed. So some of the best results that I get when I'm picking up chicks, and actually we do it just about every night, we go out and the things that I do with the chick, both to make her feel as sexy as possible and therefore like sexually confident and willing and desiring to be sexually intimate with a guy who's allowing her to feel that way, is being appreciative of her. And it's not low value to be appreciative, okay? And it's a lot different from saying things like, you're a sexy fuck, I want to bang you, imagine me bending you over, which some people misinterpret as well. Some people see that and they run with it because they saw it in a movie or whatever. But by being appreciative and literally saying things like, I'm so glad I could just have this sense of escapism standing here with you. This bar's fucking hectic. I'm so sick of my fucking workplace. Looking at you is a great alternative. Thank fuck. Hold my hand so I make the other girls jealous. Hold my arm so the other guys are going to be jealous of me. Those kinds of things. And it's not like you're gaming her and kind of like putting her on a formal pedestal. It's more like you're being appreciative. And when the girl feels appreciated, and all it takes is for you to say it out loud, to verbalize it. I know that you do. You see a hot girl, and she's looking amazing, hair, makeup, shoes, dress, and if you say that, something to the effect, very tastefully, like, fuck, you nailed that. Okay, I saw a gorgeous girl, a Venezuelan girl in Miami this week, black dress, but this sparkly blue necklace and matching shoes. I'm like, fuck, you nailed that. That's awesome. I just want to look at you. I want to look at you from a close distance. And she's like, oh, seahorse. You know, this little maneuver that they do. And she's like, thank you. So instead of me trying to pick her up and trying to make it super serious in the way that I'm picking her up, it's actually very lighthearted. And therefore, she's non-defensive. The interaction can go further. And that, when the girl feels chill and you're not the one rushing the game forward, when you're allowing, if you're going slower, then you allow her to be involved as well. And if she can be involved, then she feels like she's getting you as well. You'll also get a lot less resistance when it comes to phone calls, taking the girl home, becoming intimate and stuff like that. A good example, great example that I like to talk about. Let's go anecdotal here for a moment. I've got a friend who is, in a weird way, the epitome, the height, the pinnacle of socially conditioned. When Sweden was carved up after Russian wars or something a few hundred years ago, a buddy of mine from Finland, his family, his great-great-great-grandfathers, they were granted like all of the real estate in central Helsinki. So this guy is the heir to billions of European euros when his time comes. So this guy is going to inherit billions of euros. Crazy. That means he's got a lot of pressure on him. He's in the public figure. He needs to be in touch with what society expects of him more so than anything. But because he has so much pressure on him and he has to be so socially aware and he can't kind of put a foot wrong in the public eye, he is extremely stifled and socially conditioned. It's a problem. Anyway, he wanted an excuse to get away from the city for a couple of days. He wanted to go to an island. This guy, his family owns a lot, but has an island. It's a little island about as big as this room, big as a football field, like a soccer field, and an amazing little house, man-made beaches, speedboats, interior decorated. It's like a girl's dream, a chick's dream. He makes a phone call, and he met some chicks about a week ago. They're all like 18 and 19, out at some kind of boat festival there in Finland. And he's like, chicks, why don't you join us on the island for the evening? I'll even bring in the chef. Okay, he brings in a chef to make food for us all night. And the chef brings a whole lot of alcohol. So we go to the island. And I'm just sitting there, I'm thinking, we're all going to sleep in this same house somewhere on this finite island this evening. There's 3 girls, there's 2 guys and a chef who's like pretty much out of the game, so he's the old chef man, with a wife, so he's out of the game, and these 3 gorgeous young Finnish girls. And they're from these gorgeous families like of wealth. And the good thing about those well-off chicks is they're very cosmetically adept. They're very cosmetically expressive. They know how to put themselves together because they do that kind of thing. They're very in touch with that because they too have the public eye on them. When we were on that island, we sat down for dinner and I call him the prince, the heir to the throne, the prince. He was sitting by the girl, the cutest of the three chicks, and he was just at her. And this guy's in his early 30s, and this girl is 19 years old. How do you think a 19-year-old girl is going to react to a guy just like like intensely? He's a big frame guy, not heavy set, not muscular, but a tall European guy. And I just saw her there going into her shell and into her shell and into her shell. And he was making the process of the game and the meeting so formal that by making it that formal for the chicks, they then became so inside of their head, nervous. They wanted to be formal. They didn't want to make a bad impression. They wanted to look their best. And basically, everybody seizes up. And I'm sitting there at the dinner table thinking, no one's going to get laid if this happens. This is fucking stupid. So I pulled out a little maneuver, okay? Highly advanced game, picking up chicks maneuver. I don't know if I can do it with this microphone on. I'll see what I can do. It's the good old shirt over the head maneuver, okay? And I got my beer, tipped a little bit on my head, and sprayed it in the guy's face. Sprayed it in the prince's face. I love the looks on your faces right now. It's quite unapproving. Good. And when he did that, he's like, dude, what the fuck? My polo shirt, my tailored pants. I'm like, good, mate, good. Have a beer. I tipped it on his head as well. And by doing that, this is an extreme example, on an island, an enclosed island a long way away, it took the formality out of it, and the girls were like, yay, we can all be informal now. We can all relax now. This is great. And I don't want to rush it. I mean, he's the boss. It's his island. It's his girls. I don't want to rush the entire thing, but I needed to kind of break that tension because it was such an extreme example of how intense most people make it. And as the night went on, it's like it's a foregone conclusion. You're already on a fucking island with three young chicks who already admire you. It was great. I actually hooked up with all three of them, but then I hooked up with one of them. He hooked up with the other one. The other one actually rolled her ankle and had to go to bed. But what happened after that, when the girls relaxed, these young, fun-desiring girls, they just took all their clothes off, kept the high heels on, which was important, I like that, and just running around in their lingerie like, yay, it's the sound of music. And I'm like, this is how it's supposed to be. So deformalizing it and allowing yourself to be prone to error is really important. What else can we talk about here? With that appreciation, okay, with the appreciation of girls, when you're at a seminar like this or watching this kind of seminar online in the future, you're dedicating a time in your life to getting the most out of this part of your life. Work ethic. Let's apply ourselves. Let's get the most out of this. And what happens is you go out and you meet a lot of people. And you approach so many girls in so many situations with such almost predictably similar responses that you lose all passion, that you become robotic and functional. You become a systematic type of guy with no interest or intent or desire for the girls that you want to meet. And I had trouble with this for a long time. My job is to pick up chicks, to go out to bars like 3 days a week and have my own social life. I'm inundated in it. And when I look at all these different chicks, it's very easy to not give a fuck. So I needed to build in a facility in my psychology, I guess, and my dynamics that would remind me why I'm doing this and bring that passion back. When you're meeting chicks and when chicks are being approached by guys, if you don't have the X factor in your eye, if you don't have the gleam in your eye that you really want to meet that fucking chick, she's not going to be emotionally moved. She's going to be like, well, this is cool, but this is not passion. You don't really like me individually. You're just doing this to get pussy. That kind of thing, and it's not going to work. You're not going to have the X factor that you need to get over the logistics, some angry friends, some concerns from her kind of banter because she's not as socially relaxed as what you might be. And the way we designed this dynamic that would give you the X factor and the gleam in your eye, and we call it the statement of motivation. And it's exactly the same as you appreciating the girl. So when we started going out and started with that positive type of game, that almost nice guy type of game, positive precedent, I'm running around all the time using this thing called the statement of motivation. So what that is when I see a chick, I'll say what I like about her or what motivates me to speak with her. And all of a sudden, I'm not just doing the approach and developing my social skills as a system because it's a self-help type of thing to do. I'm actually refocusing on the individual people that I'm meeting in an emotional way because emotions have to come first. And while you're emotionally engaging these girls, all the systems and the ideas and these kind of seminars that you're listening to, they'll pop up in your head and they'll present themselves when you need them most. That's called self-trust. So my first focus when I walk into a set, and we have this on YouTube videos online, for the most part, when I approach a girl, the first thing I'll say is, "Oh, you're so beautiful." Like, God forbid, "You're so beautiful." She's like, "Oh, thank you." It's not a big deal, but I'm like, yeah, she is beautiful. She's a different variation of normal. She's attractive, yes. Imperfect, yes. But, these are the cool traits. And all of a sudden, I wake up to it. And any guy can do this, okay? And all of a sudden, you'll go from being maybe kind of socially decrepit and uptight, and then you'll enjoy meeting people, which makes this yoga type of process of learning and expanding game really enjoyable and easy to get good at. Because, we all start as like beta males. We start as beta males who are young and introverted and inside of our head and cast by social conditioning. And we need to go through that rite of passage where we go out, meet girls, get rejected, have great intimate results. And that turns into you becoming an alpha male with abundance. It's great. When you do have that abundance, when you do become somebody like Simon Cowell, who's renowned as a kind of a player, and funnily enough, in Australia, Gordon Ramsay is like a sex symbol. I know there's a couple of Australians in the room, and he's talked about it as a sex symbol. I see that, I'm like, it doesn't really make sense. But when you're walking around with that abundance, and if you're that famous and you're that good at meeting everybody, it's not like you're ever filtering anybody. You can meet any person and appreciate them, because if you don't do that, you'll hate the world, you'll hate the masses. And some celebrities get it wrong. They hate the paparazzi, they hate the masses, and they make it hard for themselves. Some celebrities make it easy for themselves because they're good at just taking 5 minutes and appreciating every single person. And somebody like, for example, Richard Branson, who does a whole lot of speaking tours, he's a great example of that. Being momentarily appreciative, so he stays in touch with human beings. What else can we talk about here today? Let me think. All right. I guess how long do we have left? I could do some questions. 17 minutes. Okay, I'll go with some questions because that'll kind of direct me where I want to go, or where, if there's any other topics that I want to talk about. So what I've said here so far, I'm talking about being of value, demonstrating value as a function of time, not by over-exaggerating it, being more appreciative of the people that you meet so they feel that X factor and that gleam in your eye, and you have the extra motivation that you need to take the interaction a long way further. I'm talking about deformalizing the pickup approach and not thinking of it as a skill-based part of your life, but as a relaxation, almost meditative part of your life. And I guess another really cool thing when you're high value with chicks in a bar, when you're going out meeting chicks in bars, clubs, parties, and day game, I know that the high-achieving man, the kind of guys who go to seminars, they're thinking results. I want pussy and I want it in an efficient amount of time, okay? An abundance of it. I get some nods in the audience. Well, it's not like that. When you meet a girl, you're gonna have a session of 5 or 6 hours in that bar, in that evening, where sex can't happen. Now, it can, obviously, but you've got to assume that it's not ever gonna be likely. The first 4 hours of meeting a girl, you're in a bar, you're in transition home, you're at an after party, maybe you lapse and you go on a date again later. If you allow yourself to emotionally accept the fact that sex can't happen, it's like you've got no dick. Okay, or you've got whiskey dick. Imagine that. I can't even have sex. Well, all you've got left is appreciating the girl and not being sexual. And funnily, that actually makes her feel appreciated and sexy and non-defensive and gives you the best chance for results. So that's what I'm talking about here, and that's some of the insights that we use. The hard part is not getting ahead of yourself. If there's any questions, I'll talk about that, and that'll kind of get me moving in different directions because there's a lot of stuff that I can talk about. Arousal. Any questions, mates? Anything at all? Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. So a lot of what I hear is that apparently the goal of the night is to sleep with a girl, right? So it's like, okay, well, I have 4 hours. Let us run this race, as opposed to saying, okay, what do I need to do to secure, a date, right?
Uh-huh.
So what do you think about that? What's really the framework here? What's the goal?
Let me explain. Yeah, great question. So The questions are recorded, right? I don't need to say them out loud again? Yeah. Great, cool, gotcha. The goal is not to sleep with a girl. The goal is to have the abundance to choose and create options for yourself, to have a great girl in your life or a great social life. Or I, for one, I travel a lot, so I love being surrounded by girls who have a lot of aesthetic pride because I think it's beautiful. I love it. Okay, it's kind of relaxing. So the goal is to leave with them, because when you leave with them from the big, complicated social place, and then you kind of go through that bottleneck into a more isolated situation, then you are the sole source of their engagement. And then if you're the primary, the monopoly of their source of engagement and arousal, then they are going to be attracted to you. You're the individual guy who they will be attracted to or aroused by and thinking about and comfortable with, and you are the one enabling her to have fun and therefore be intimate. In terms of securing the date, that kind of language, and if we want to be nitpicky here with like inner game language, the way that you describe these things, for example, secure, even though you use that lightheartedly as a question, the way you think about these things, when you're under pressure in the moment in the bar, the language that you learn this by pops up and it has a world of difference. So when you're using the word secure a date, that implies a fear of loss, okay? Yeah, exactly. It implies a fear of loss. If you think, okay, must do things to secure the date, it's not that word that you want to use. And we are being nitpicky here because that's all that we do. We just sit around 7 days a week thinking about how to pick up girls and have the best inner game to do so. We use the word inspire their attention. Inspire. We want to inspire their attention. And what that means is not secure in a kind of a trapping, controlling, and I like to use the word enslaving, to control them in such an extreme way. That's an extreme example. To inspire them. Because if you need to inspire them, then you need to be continuously arousing and expressive and have ideas and be appreciative, which as a guy, if you've got enough abundance, you know that not one girl is going to solve all of the world's problems. Having a great mother of your children and a great soulmate is great, but appreciating everyone. So you should always be looking to be influential, showing others a good time, appreciating others. So you should be continually engaged in the world, and that will be continuously arousing for the girl, which will make her inspired by your company. Should be thinking, he can talk to anyone, but he appreciates me. I hope I don't lose him because he can approach any other girl at the same time. A great dynamic that we always use a lot of once we have a girl inspired in the bar. Not hooked, but inspired, if I use a slight American accent. Then we have the girl on our arm while we're chilling out, chatting, kind of being friendly and almost platonic, but we have her on our arm with the physicality and we're opening other conversations with chicks. So she's like, shit, he's not trying to trap me and he could leave, he could divert his attention at any time. So how do you inspire the date? Appreciate her individually and verbalize it, and when you monopolize her attention and you make her physically comfortable, and you can call her out by showing a range of emotions that you have personal boundaries, you're not a pushover, that you have your own individual life, then she's going to think, okay, he's the man, he's the center of my attention right now, I wonder what will happen. In terms of securing a date, and I'm a pickup and dating coach, securing a date or inspiring the date, it's actually better when you're meeting a girl in the evening at bars, clubs, and parties, not to leave her thinking that you want to date her. You want to leave her wondering what the next part in your interaction is going to be. Will he call? Won't he call? Do I like him? Do I not like him? Should I play hard to get? Should I not play hard to get? That engagement, when she takes the phone call, she will explore further. When actually, if you're a young guy in your 20s, going out and making out with girls in bars and getting almost like hot and heavy in the bar, or even trying to kind of get the girl to your front door and then try to make some heavy moves, if you do that, she's going to think, okay, when she takes the phone call, oh, he really likes me. He really is going to want to have sex. That's cool. I like that, but I know where this is going. It's unarousing. The phone call's not going to be that exciting. Of course, some girls do just want to have sex. That's fine. But a lot of the girls aren't physiologically and emotionally prepared to bang at the first opportunity. So I kind of put that one out of my head. So what you've got to do is actually do less intimacy and less sexuality onto her. You can express it openly, like, I love sex, but like, we're friends, that kind of thing. So she knows that you can do it if you want to, but you're not putting under the pressure and making it predictable that it's going to happen. So when you go to do the date after the meeting the first day, she's going to explore where it goes, not worry about being under sexual pressure or feeling like a slut for going to fuck every guy she meets. Okay, is that a thorough answer? Great, cool. Another question.
What's your take on low energy and high energy in an interaction? Because you're quite high energy.
Absolutely. Well, I am doing a presentation. I'm like, boom, high energy, stomping around. Be careful, table. Yeah. You guys are a quiet audience, eh? High energy and low energy. You don't want to think of it that way because it almost implies that you need to be one or the other. You want to monopolize your emotions. A great phrase. I don't know where I learnt it, and I'm sure it was somebody from like a 21 convention type of group or something. I learnt this phrase that people only have as much power as you give them. And then I stopped, when girls didn't like me, I wouldn't empower that for whatever reason. If they didn't buy into what I was doing, if they weren't interested in me, if they had other priorities, that wouldn't take away from my monopoly of emotions. But by the same token, very importantly for everyone in the room, don't then get into state and excited when a girl starts doting on you or when you'll kind of feel like you're progressing into an intimacy realm that's a little bit out of your league or something like that. So don't get excited and don't get disappointed. That keeps you solid, keeps you of value. So in terms of high energy or low energy, you want to have monopolize your emotions. And just the way, after this, we're going to go out of this formal seminar room, we're going to go outside, we're going to eat some food, and everyone here in the room is relaxed and there's nothing to worry about here. So you have your emotions monopolized. And what is that going to look like? You're just chilling, get a bite to eat, maybe have a beer, chat with your friends, shake hands. As men, grown men, it's a calm, chill kind of thing. A little bit different from chicks who are more excitable and a little bit more fragile when it comes to negative comments. So it looks like a calm, smooth, suave, monopolized sense of self. But when you're that monopolized, it actually makes you kind of bored, and boredom inspires mischief, basically. Boredom inspires self-amusement. And self-amusement is very arousing to girls. Rock stars are extremely self-amusing and so bored by their abundance and their monopoly and them being the king of their own reality that they do these silly, fucked up things. Think of the guys from Jackass. I love also Wild Boys. They're just crazy and self-amusing, and they're cool, and they're extremely interesting to watch. So what it will look like in a bar, high energy or low energy, is for the most part, you're going to be like chilling, enjoying your friends, enjoying the opportunity to meet girls, the music, whatever. And then once in a while, you're going to get a little bit like, yeah, you're expressive. Or you're like, come here, oh my God, you're fucking beautiful. No, not here, we're in a public place. You do it to self-amuse, knowing and trusting that that's going to be attractive and arousing and engaging and interesting to others, and show that you're capable of doing it at any time on your terms because you have the monopoly, and the girl's going to have anticipation toward you. Okay, as to other guys who are like, I don't want to fuck up, which really is not a fuck up, especially if it's coming from a positive precedent. Cool. Let's do one more question before we wrap it up, if we have one. Do we have a question? We have a question. Yes.
How can I apply some of this to my social circle?
Let me ask, is your social circle, are you about 22, 23?
19.
19. Okay. With your social circle, I don't know, because I didn't go to college here in the United States. Is it like a college social circle kind of thing? Nod? Shake?
Yes and no.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, regular, like party type of scene. You can be the kind of guy, and everyone think of a friend of yours who has integrity, who what you see is what you get, knows how to simply and purely express himself. With that, you can be the kind of guy who checks in on everyone and does takeaways from everyone. It's like, hey, what's going on? Good to see you. You're looking good. That's cool. That's awesome. Appreciative. And also being kind of competitive. Because as a guy, you need to have that masculine trait as well of like, what the fuck's going on here? I could drink more than you. I can run faster than you. I'll bench press more than you in 3 months. Fuck you. A bit of a combination of that. Know how to make everyone physically comfortable. That's called physical rapport, not physical escalation, which can make people defensive and make you look like a player, but flicking girls' arms around your shoulders, looking after them, hiding with them, behind them, seeking solace away from like the stress of school and family and finance and government, and be the guy who's like consistently nice to everyone with the physicality, with the range of emotions. And you're the kind of guy who the girls feel comfortable to hang out with late at the end of the night and you're the guy who walks them home to their dorm or their party or whatever, and like, oh, you need to go in and use the bathroom. And then maybe you're giving her a head massage, and then maybe you're kissing her on the neck, and then maybe we shouldn't do this, and maybe you're having sex. Okay, in the 19-year-old age group, it's like chicks are not looking to be paired up in a relationship because it kind of stresses them out. Instead, they want to have the intimacy and companionship, but not the stress of the title of a relationship. So what I say to my guys who are mostly in Australia and Europe, if you're a 19-year-old guy, and many guys watching on the internet, you're going to be an easygoing guy, very expressive, outgoing, prone to mistakes, but unapologetic about it, and anything happens after 2 a.m. If you're the one they trust more than anybody else to walk them home, or you walk them home to show you the iPad or the fish tank or samurai fighting fish or what, Siamese fighting fish in a little glass, that you can get laid a lot from a Siamese fighting fish. All right, is there any one last quick question before I wrap it up? It's go time. One last quickie. Very in a game today.
Yeah. One more. Actually, follow up to that one. What's the difference then in the 30s?
In your 30s?
Yes.
Actually, it's the same kind of thing, but more dapper and more relaxed. I am only 29 right now, born in 1985, so I don't have a 30s social circle. But when I'm hanging out with friends, you go out for dinner, or you have dinner parties, and dinner parties turn into, we're drinking, like 7 friends in an apartment, we're drinking around, and who's walking who home kind of thing. You want to leave the tension building, not showing your hand in poker in that sense. You want to leave the tension building between the girls you're hanging out with, showing the physicality, being verbally appreciative of them in a way that most guys are scared to do because they fear they're fucking with their value, and also kind of calling them out, challenging them, being a little bit competitive, but understanding who you're walking home with and who you're making more physically comfortable than others. And in social circles, if girls like you and you're not that interested because maybe they're nutritionally undisciplined, knowing how to put your hands behind your back, that kind of thing. But otherwise, it's actually a lot more linear in your 30s, because if a chick wants to meet guys and date, they'll do that. And if you're not giving away your value or playing these massive, distressing value games in your own head, then you become very, very easy company for chicks, and they will definitely seek you out as a guy who they want to spend time with and have fun with. But I would say in your 30s, when chicks you might ask the question, I don't want to be put into the provider category, you need to have that streak of madman, streak of crazy. And that's like, shaking the beer, fucking around, not being afraid to be a little bit extroverted and prone to error. So the girls know that he's exciting, but he's not there to be controlled. And with him comes an element of risk, not provider kind of status. Cool, guys. Cool. This has been a new and unique experience for me. Wraps up my weekend of 4 days working. And I am just about to start writing a whole series of books, memoirs about adventures, picking up chicks, getting in trouble, getting arrested, getting kicked out of Bulgaria, gangs, all crazy, cool, interesting stuff. So that's me. It's been really nice to come into this part of the self-help world, rant and rave, hopefully give you a unique perspective, and hopefully this unique perspective hasn't fucked around with your paradigm of how you understand your social life, but it's added an annex that you're going to think, okay, that doesn't make total sense. I'd like to explore more, because it will only kind of blossom and enrich, and you'll understand it more now that you see where we're coming from with continued exposure to our free stuff online. So I've gone on for long enough. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Alex. Awesome stuff, man.